Welcome to another episode of Blacktop. I'm here. It's your boy LJ.
I'm Ade.
I'm Worlds. We also need to get rid of quotas because police officers during the end of every single month, they just swarming the streets, the highways, the roads, just looking to pull people over just for any little thing. Because again, it goes back to the system. You get a speeding ticket or you get a little ticket, a parking violation, you pay it off, you're good to go. It's just adding more money, unnecessary money out of the hardworking people in the community's pocket for no reason. So we need to get rid of that. Another thing I want to add that there needs to be more diversity in the police stations in terms of they need to be a 4 quarters, 25%. So it needs to be 25% black people, 25% Asian people, 25% Spanish people, and you could put the last 25% white people. So we have a diversity in terms of how to handle different types of communities. Like, hey, if there's one area predominantly Asian, you send, Asian officers to that area. So it's like, these are my people. I could kind of communicate with them better than say a white person would or a black person would. Same thing, vice versa. Have black police officers go out to black communities that are from that communities as well. There's just so much different things that you pointed out, Lionel, that they could do to change the system. And really, it's like, we saying all these things, but will they act upon it? Because we're not the ones in office. We're not the ones who are making the laws. We're not the ones who are making the decisions. We're not the ones who are making bills. It's the people in the higher ups. And they see the frustration. They hear the frustration. They see it everywhere. But the fact that they don't act on the change just goes to the reluctant on their part. And at the end of the day, it's like, how much more can we take from being, unlawfully killed and unlawfully racial profiled, but yet a white 17-year-old could literally go in the street, AK-47, shoot and kill 2 innocent protesters, and they were both white.
And then walk past the police.
Officer and act like nothing happened.
And then drive home peacefully.
And then you know what the funny thing? They waited till the next day, a full 24 hours later, to arrest the man. But if a black man had did that, he would have been taken down, tased, possibly shot.
It'd be a man
dead on the scene, and they'd be like, well, you see, you had an AK-47. But hold on, when the white 17-year-old did it, you let him go free. So there's clearly a huge gap in terms of racial profiling and racial inequality. The system just needs to be destroyed and built back up from the top.
Yeah, we're not going to get, I think overall, like you pointed out a good point. Like you look at this young white boy and you're trying to tell me that no antennas came and went up and said, wait. He has an AK-47. We just heard gunshots. He has an AK-47. He's walking by us. So none of your antennas went, you shouldn't be a cop. Like if I hear a gunshot.
That's just lack of common
sense. And I can see a gun. I'm sorry. You might not have done it, but there's a gun and I heard gunshots. I think I have the legal right to stop you and tell you put your weapon down and then figure this all out. And maybe that does take me holding you into custody for 24 hours, not picking you up in 24 hours, But the point is, I heard something, I reacted to it, and I'm trying to prevent anything further. They didn't do that. So you're trying to tell me their antennas, clearly, like you said, it's clearly racial profiling, because at the end of the day, your antennas could not go up after knowing that somebody was shot, after seeing this person walk by you with a gun, and you didn't have, none of your antennas went up.
They gave him water after he shot the people. Yes. And I remember there was a video of him walking up to the cops. They were telling him, stop. And he just keep on walking towards them with his huge gun, and he finally stops. But that's a situation where people say, oh, you just listen to police, you wouldn't get shot. But this guy's literally walking up to him with a huge gun. They're telling him to stop repeatedly over like 10 times at least. He's still going. And then like 5 minutes later, they give him a bottle of water. They just chatted up with him and stuff like that after he just got done killing people. So yeah, this shows you like it's a racial tension in between.
The police officers are the real terrorists in the United States. I don't want to hear about Al Qaeda. I don't want to hear about ISIS. I don't want to hear about no other out of country terrorist group. Right now, the United States, the biggest problem is the police officers are the biggest terrorists to human society. That's what it is. They think that because you have a badge and a gun, that they could just go around killing innocent black people and not facing any type of repercussion. And the track record shows. Look at the people who killed Breonna Taylor. Still have not been charged with one crime. You mean to tell me you could go into somebody's home, not have a search warrant, shoot them, walk away, and no charge of nothing, not even a second-degree murder, comes to that police officer's table like, hey, we're charging you. They're free. And the people who shot Jacob Blake, I don't know, this man broke up a fight, was doing his, was acting the kindness out of citizen. He broke up a fight. And his thank you for that, shot 7 times in the back for breaking up a fight. You mean to tell me, hold up. First of all, they didn't even call. The police officer didn't even come for him. They called because there was domestic violence. There was a fight. He saw it. He broke it up. And then, you know what? You think, hey, Jacob, thank you for breaking up the fight. We appreciate you, blah, blah. You want to escort home? No. Here's your thank you. 7 bullets in the back.
In front of your children.
In front of your kids in the car.
The funny thing is, Melvin Gordon from the Broncos, because he's from that, and that hit him hard when the Jacob Blake situation had occurred, and he spoke so deeply to his teammates, which goes back to my point that NFL players need to speak up, because yes, you might not feel like all your teammates want to hear what you have to say, but when you're telling the truth and you're telling your reality of what you experience and what you have to deal with and how this affects you, I think I played high school football, and I played Pee Wee and so forth. And I think as a team, one thing we don't do is look at each other as a race factor. When you play on a team, you don't look at each other as a race factor. So at the end of the day, I feel like, when he made those statements to his team players on the Broncos, I feel like they understood, and they were deeply saddened from the news reports. And I think that at the end of the day, that's what they needed. They needed for somebody to be able to bring them to a reality of their own, and somebody that they trust, somebody that they respect, somebody that they understand might not have any negative intentions, and just wants to be able to say, hey, look, this is what we're dealing with in America. And from what we were told, a lot of his teammates felt, saddened. They felt like they wanted to do something, At the end of the day, the key point is we need to support each other during this time. That's one. There's no exceptions, right? The color doesn't matter at this point. Political differences don't matter. What matters is that this could be any of us. The system needs to change when it comes to police brutality, when it comes to training, when it comes to police conduct, and it needs to change, because the one thing you have to understand is the police force is a very diverse force when you go to certain cities. So they're black, they're white, they're Spanish. So there's something that's going on in these police forces that's causing them to behave and conduct themselves in this manner. It might be quotas, might not be. It might just be horrible training. But there's something underlying that's causing these individuals to react the way they're reacting that is not conducive to anybody's life. And proportionally is black African Americans that are, of course, killed. But it's not proportionate to anybody's life, anybody's well-being. For a police officer to be conducting in that manner, because at the end of the day, right, power is something else. Because at the end of the day, it can be with African Americans now, and then tomorrow it can be with Asians, and then the next day it can be with Latinos, and the next day it can be with white individuals, right? That can change dramatically, because power shifts is a very unique thing. You give a person a gun and then you tell them, you have all this power, and then they react the way they react, because racism is not just, white individuals at African Americans. Sometimes you have African Americans that's racist against different races, and they work for these police forces. And sometimes you have Spanish people that's racist, and they work for these police forces. So there has to be some type of training, some type of behavioral change, some type of cultural change that allows people to not start understanding each other. I don't want you to always agree with everybody and their behaviors, but they have to have some type of understanding. And one, you have to have some type of empathy. Because as a police officer, what individuals go through when you go to these sites, right? And you're going to these sites and you get a call, how do you empathize with these individuals? How do you de-escalate the situation? Are you even trying to de-escalate the situation? Because if you think power is going to get you through everything, it's not, and we have to be more strategic in pulling badges from bad police officers. So when police officers go, oh, you're fighting against police officers, blah, blah, blah. You know what? If you're a good police officer, you shouldn't be vouching for a bad one. So I don't feel bad when we're fighting against police officers in these protests and these demonstrations. Because if you're a good police officer, you should be telling the bad ones to stop it. Or you should be reporting them to IAB or any type of internal affairs and allowing them to get their badges pulled and recommending some good officers to work on your side. But the minute you allow bad officers to work, you're just as bad as them. And I hate to hear it when you hear police officers say, yeah, I knew he's racist, or I knew this happened. I have a lot of police officer friends. Oh, I knew this, this person racist. But you're not willing to, say something. You're not willing to stop that type of conduct when he's in the community. You're not willing to bring it up to a supervisor or bring it up to somebody bigger than the supervisor that could reprimand this officer. So yes, you're just as liable for the lives that he or she takes. You're just as liable for the behavior that he or she subjects somebody to. You're just as liable for his or her bad conduct. You know, that's why people look at police officers collectively, because you're standing next to somebody when they have a knee on somebody's neck and he's telling you they can't breathe and you don't say anything. You don't stop your partner out of everything. I should be able to stop my partner. You know, like, oh, get off. Let's stand up. Let's just put him in the back. I should be able to stop my partner. We work together every day and they don't do that. And no offense, some of these officers look like us. And you don't have to be the bravest person to be able to have somebody stop a situation, and if your partner feels some type of way that you actually did something productive and gave him some advisory information, like stop, you're about to kill him, then he's crazy. Because if I'm doing something wrong and you're my partner, right now, if I'm saying something wrong, I would want you to step in and say, hey, don't say that, or stop that. That's your job as my partner. That's your job as my partner. Like, I'm not going to always be right. That's why we have a partner. It's an equal balance. Vice versa, you might not always be right. That's why you have me. So I think cops that say, oh, well, you guys are fighting against all cops. Yeah, we're fighting against all cops because you're not fighting against the bad ones. We're going in our communities. We're fighting against the drugs. We're fighting against the gun violence. Or at least we're trying, right? We're trying to speak to the people that we know in our communities and tell them stop shooting each other. We're trying to go against those drug dealers and say, okay, maybe you can minimize selling drugs in these communities. Minimize who you sell to. Have better respect. Have better laws, rules, whatever it is. But the point is you won't do it against your own, but you want us to go in our communities and be active and do it and stop everybody from doing it. Sorry. It starts with that blue shield, you shouldn't have somebody bad behind it and allowing them to keep on acting this way.